we're starting the episode, and
it's just the three of us today.
It's just the three of us today. Unfortunately, this is an episode where I think having two Twitter heads would have been a real help.
Yeah. Okay, so I will put a disclaimer on. Since I got my desktop in November, I don't have Twitter on it, so I haven't pretty much been on Twitter. I've been at Twitter very, very minimally for the past 4 months. Mm-hmm. It's been great, but the thing is that since I have my desktop now, my old setup of having my gaming laptop at the far side of my desk and my ThinkPad with Twitter on it between me and my my laptop's keyboard is gone. I'm no longer on Twitter constantly.
Well, we won, but at what cost? Because
we only have half.
I went from 2 screens down to 1.
We only have half a Twitter head for our episode that is going to be an exclusive 1 hour and 20-minute episode on clavicular getting frame
mogged at ASU.
Yeah,
that's right. Shocking revelations have been released by the FBI. Mm-hmm. Hundreds of emails discussing clavicular's brutal frame mogging by an ASU frat leader.
Yeah. And the elite, the frat leaders, famously known for their sexual predatory ways, have come out on top once again, I suppose, in this story.
Okay, but real talk, Peter Thiel's been trying to get clavicular to be his sugar baby or something.
What?
He paid clavicular's bail and has been trying to get clavicular to come to I guess Bay Area parties.
I believe that.
It's Peter Thiel also has in the past had sugar babies on hand. Some of them have mysteriously died.
Because clavicular, okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, which includes me, seems to just be your latest in the kind of wave of fitness trend that is just generic looks maxing stuff. It seems we've separated out into people who are 18 years old and have been taking steroids for 5 years. And then on the other side, there's just guys doing jaw bone smashing who have no real physical capability, but you could generally say are their face is traditionally attractive and they get famous.
Clavicular is basically he's a famous incel.
Yeah.
But not
I don't think he's an incel, he's more, but he falls into the looks maxing.
He is a fake cell. He embraces sort of an incel audience and identity, even though he himself obviously has had sex.
But he's a looks maxer.
Yeah, he is a looks maxer. He encourages bone smashing. If you're not aware what bone smashing is, it is where you attempt to cause microfractures in your face due to the received wisdom that a bone grows back bigger than when it is broken. Mm-hmm. He also is his main theory, his main contribution to looks maxing has been obsession with the human stress response hormone cortisol, which he claims causes you to become ugly because of its effects on your skin and hair, basically. Yeah. There is a kernel of truth to this.
Yeah, but that's only when you have cortisol levels that are through the roof you get when you're experiencing famine.
Yeah, cortisol does damage your skin and hair if you are super stressed out, but it does lead to so there is some truth to it, but it has led to sort of this cortisol spiking meme associated with clavicular. If you scroll Instagram, you ever see a chart that has a cortisol level or something on it or whatever, that is referencing clavicular's cortisol theory. Also, whenever cortisol is stressed in public, his followers will be clavicular had a brutal cortisol strike in reaction to this.
Yeah.
Right. So
this follows up with the testosterone maxing thing, where it's you can't touch the semen retention would I guess
now
be
here's the thing. So semen retention is actually would lower testosterone levels.
But there's some T-maxing guys who are big into semen retention.
That doesn't make any sense because
these are morons we're talking about.
So I've tried in my decade of fitness experience
more.
is I have done semen retention techniques twice.
Okay.
And both times, within 2 weeks, it worked out for me, you know?
Right. Semen retention actually lowers testosterone, which is not a bad thing necessarily. The story here is Clavicular, the incel looks maxer, went to Arizona State University, met up with a frat boy who frame-mogged him. So mogging is when you are so much more attractive than someone else that you make them look uglier than they really are, right? So he got frame-mogged by a frat leader at ASU, causing a devastating cortisol spike.
The guy at ASU was really puffing his shoulders out in a way that looked incredibly uncomfortable.
Well, because there was some of this like brain melting 4chan speak about how this ASU frat leader is like fake maxing. I think I sent you guys a reel about that. God, this whole stuff lately has made me just want like. Yeah, you can tell he's definitely like...
He's peacocking himself a little bit with his shoulders.
God, I've been reading all of the dumb, made-up, looks-maxing words has just made me...
Send that to me. Send that to me. We got a thumbnail potential.
I gotta stop saying inflammatory shit on this podcast, otherwise I'm gonna get kicked
That's
off.
kind of the point of having a podcast, though.
Yeah.
Okay, well, like, Eddie, make sure to mute this, but I think we need to...
Why would you mute that? Oh, actually, this is a great transition because we know now what made 4chan the way it is.
I
have a secondary transition. You know what American universities mention more times in the Epstein files than any other? ASU.
Oh my
party
god!
School.
Yeah, it's mentioned over 3,000 times in the Epstein files.
Good lord.
Was like Epstein wanting to like find like impressionable young party girls from ASU to like sex traffic?
There is a lot of that. Like in the Epstein files, he had a lot of professorial connections. By the way,
of course, yeah.
This is the Epstein episode.
Yeah,
because
among a few other things.
In order to distract people from Clavicular getting frame mogged, the government did release
the Epstein files.
Heavily redacted.
Oh, one more thing on Clavicular. I sent it to you guys, but there's like this meme like 3 years ago. There was a post on like some subreddit like looks maxing or something, and it's like, how do I rank? And it was actually like Clavicular, and it became a meme because
it's his grandma. If you've ever seen the one where the guy flexing in the mirror and his grandma is taking the photo,
but she's like not
Clavicular.
looking in the mirror. She's like his old ass grandma.
That is like an all-time great picture as well. Like
this is Clavicular.
What year was this? Because
this was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's so insane.
But yeah, all of this stuff is like downstream from Ziz in its own way. And like Ziz kind of became a legend. How long ago did Ziz die? Holy fuck.
Who is Ziz?
Ziz was a fitness influencer who was very famous on 4chan's fitness board.
Yeah. He was essentially just like a really big influencer who was just like a generally...
Also a Soviet citizen.
Mediocre to good looking. And just went and did like some bodybuilding stuff and just went to like raves and partied. And it was kind of like bodybuilding has gone through multiple waves over time. And this was like a 2010s blow up of bodybuilding culture. Yeah. Where it like hit a new wave of mainstream. And Ziz was like the picture where there's like 3 guys at a party wearing neon shirts.
Yeah.
And one of them is like, fuck with sluts.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, whatever those ones were, which is like that picture's made shockingly few waves recently. I wonder why. But like that party culture kind of led to the whole looks maxing thing of just getting a good looking specifically in ways to hook up. And then the men have gotten more and more insecure over time, I think.
Looks maxing actually kind of comes from 4chan, basically.
Mm-hmm. So this is why we need to declare jihad on 4chan.
The maxing suffix is like something that comes from 4chan's, I want to say R9K, which is their like incel dedicated containment board.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it refers to like embracing a specific thing as your strategy to escape inceldom.
Yeah.
Right? Looks maxing obviously is what it sounds like. It's trying to look as attractive as possible. And it originated on sort of simultaneously on 4chan's fitness board and its incel containment board.
Yeah.
Which there actually is a lot of overlap between those two.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways,
let's do the transition officially, and I just want to hit my first overarching point of Jeffrey Epstein for the bourgeois class.
I can't hear anyone say that name anymore without hearing the true non-intro.
Without hearing which?
The true non-intro.
Oh, okay.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, is this your guy's financial genius? This brains leaking out the ears.
Sorry, let's start with who is Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know.
The financier?
Well, he
focused on the clavicular news.
Yes, yeah.
I haven't heard of this guy yet.
Infamous friend of the show.
Yeah.
All right.
Our number one fan for a time.
Yes, back in the day.
He was in our tier 1 of our non-existent Patreon.
Yeah.
This is Jeffrey Epstein is honestly this goes back for us when we listened to like a 7-hour compilation of what was
Nick Mullen versus
the Hollywood Elites.
Yeah.
Which was all about Hollywood pedophiles and getting into Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
When we started, Epstein was still alive, and we were running the free Jeffrey Epstein movement.
Right. So basically, here's what happened. There's this guy, Jeffrey Epstein. You all know who he is.
You all love him. You all know him.
So Jeffrey Epstein came into the public consciousness basically in the 2016 election. This file release is the culmination of a 10-year-long culture war in which both the Republicans and Democrats
Wait, 2016 election, what?
Yes, Jeffrey Epstein was a major part of the 2016 election. If you remember Pizzagate.
Oh, you mean in the sense of like behind the scenes? I was like, no, but he hadn't been arrested yet.
No.
For the second
Sorry,
time.
here's what I'm saying. Jeffrey Epstein entered the public consciousness as a character because of the 2016 election. The whole Pizzagate thing, right? So basically, the story here is, you know who he is. He's a pedophile. He has an island. He gets arrested in 2008 for sex trafficking. He gets sentenced to house arrest and released in 6 months, right? Everyone knows who he is and what he did, and he has connections to all these rich people. The reason why the files have been released was 2016, Hillary Clinton's emails are leaked. Pizzagate. Basically, right-wing schizos search through her emails and they find all these weird emails like talking about bulk food orders or whatever.
Yeah.
And they connect it to child sex trafficking, a moral panic that comes up every once in a while.
How much of a bulk food order? Is this just like order 30 pizzas?
No, it's like order $64,000 worth of hot dogs for our party tomorrow or whatever. Like, it's like that. It's like
that's a lot of hot dogs.
Yeah, it's like
that's a lot of hot dogs.
The thing with Pizzagate is that, like all conspiracies, has a kernel of truth in that the Clinton email leak included a lot of weird and unexplained stuff.
That's the type of shit I do to Nick every New Year.
64,000 glizzies. That's like Spencer at Looney Dog Tuesdays at the Skydome.
Right. So Pizzagate spirals out of control. It has a non-insignificant role in Donald Trump beating Hillary Clinton.
And it's Pizzagate's also centered around this one pizza restaurant
called Comet Ping Pong, which is why it's called Pizzagate.
Because it's like this pizza restaurant on DC, and they thought that they were keeping like sex trafficked children
in the basement of this pizza restaurant. This pizza restaurant, by the way, does not have a basement. But there were a lot of... The thing with Pizzagate is that a lot of it is just unabashed right-wing schizophrenia.
Yeah.
There are some weird elements to it where it's like, what actually is going on here? Like, during the Pizzagate thing... Someone broke into the office of this pizza restaurant
with a gun
and tried to do a mass shooting, but only shot the hard drives of the computer that's in the restaurant.
He demanded to like see where the kid's at. Where the kid's at?
I missed that one.
There's a lot of like, what the fuck is going on?
And the guy who showed up to that Pizzagate thing with a gun ended up killing a mob boss like years later.
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah. As time goes on.
Yeah.
I grow more and more convinced that restaurant probably has a basement.
Anyways, there's a lot of weird elements to the Pizzagate thing, but it was mostly spurious and circumstantial, right?
Yeah.
But it leads to a general right-wing obsession with
pedophilia.
Elite pedophilia, which culminates in Jeffrey Epstein.
No, well, it culminates in the Kendrick Lamar and Drake rap battle.
Right, but on the step to the Kendrick-Drake beef...
Yeah.
One of the lower...
There was a decade of Epstein.
It's kind of a reviving of the satanic panic of the 80s in many ways.
Epstein gets rearrested. He gets thrown in prison. He allegedly kills himself. Not to, we got to say allegedly here because, I don't want to defame him.
Yeah. It is
with a crime that he did not commit.
Yeah. For anyone that's concerned about Epstein's ability to get into heaven, we don't want to say that he killed
right, because
himself.
then he would go to hell.
Yeah.
So he,
I mean, like, he's like Jewish, so isn't there no, like, don't half of Jews not believe in an afterlife?
Jews, I mean, he's not really a religiously observant Jew, but we'll talk about his opinions on Judaism.
Oh, yeah.
But Jews in general do believe in heaven. They don't believe in hell, which is more of a Christian innovation, quote unquote.
Hell is just, you're talking about God with Moses all the time if you're a sinner. Whereas it's heaven if you're a saint.
Right. So the Jewish theology is irrelevant to this, but he does quote unquote kill himself. People accuse Clinton of killing him, Trump of killing him, whatever.
Similar to the whole Pizzagate.
Really, it was a team effort to kill him.
Yeah.
Similar with the whole Pizzagate thing, the killing himself thing was absolutely riddled, as I'm sure everyone knows. All the security footage shut down for only the period in which he died. Both the guards just happened to fall asleep, but only for the period that he died.
They didn't fall asleep.
They just didn't do their rounds.
They didn't do their rounds.
They didn't do their rounds after.
I mean, admittedly, even if
corrections officers are like the most lazy cops, so whatever.
If they did. Even if he did kill himself, as soon as they realize that, they're like, "Oh fuck, we gotta pretend we were on duty so we don't get fired."
Right. So, like Pizzagate,
it's like a classic employee thing.
There's not enough to say that conclusively he didn't kill himself, but there's a lot of unanswered questions about it. Right. His primary accomplice, basically his wife, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is his long-term partner
and procurer,
is also arrested. Her job in the Epstein operation
and Epstein's threesome partner with British former prime minister.
Okay, we'll get to that. So Ghislaine Maxwell, his main accomplice,
my assumption is it's Boris Johnson, but we actually don't have that.
Boris Johnson does definitely seem like a kind of freak to do that.
He cheats on his wife, obvious pedophile.
Boris Johnson, maybe not obvious. That's a little bit legally gray, but at the same time, this man has fathered most of his children have been fathered out of wedlock.
So Epstein, his whole thing was basically he was running a blackmail operation. Ghislaine Maxwell was helping him run this operation. Right? Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, so they would get elite pedophiles to their island. Mm-hmm. They would hook them up with kids, right? They would take photos of them to use as blackmail. That was the whole conceit of this operation. They would also cultivate friendships with these elite people so they wouldn't even have to use the blackmail they would procure on them, right? So Ghislaine Maxwell herself is an interesting character. Both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell have very strange lives. Ghislaine Maxwell
ties to intelligence operations.
Yes. So
when we were figuring out the whole blackmail operation, the island Little St. James, they announced they were going to raid the island the day before. And at this point, there were people doing daily drone flying operations past the island, and you could just see everybody removing all the computers.
Yeah.
So when the American, was it FBI or CIA or whatever, whatever agents showed up, I'm forgetting.
It's probably the FBI, because the CIA can't operate on American territory.
Yeah.
Because Little St. James is on one of those weird American colonies in the Caribbean.
All the computers, all the hard drives are already gone. And they said they found nothing somehow.
Yeah. Right. So,
I guess that's why Epstein bought Little St. James.
Mm-hmm.
It's
because it's in the Virgin Islands.
Ooh. So... So Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, rewinding to Epstein's first arrest, one of the reasons why he got basically a slap on the wrist for one of the most horrific crimes you can possibly be charged with, was because basically the government interceded and was like, he's connected to intelligence.
Yeah.
Right. So there's questions like, who is he collecting blackmail for? There are three groups that, depending on your partisan leanings, you will sort of assign him as their blackmailer. It's possible he's working for all of them.
Probably all of them.
Yeah. Israel, the United States, and most spuriously, but technically possible, Russia.
Yeah, the news is very focused in on Russia, and they're really grasping at straws.
Yeah. So the
despite
thing
the fact that he's in
but the elephant in the room
saying,
is that it's obviously Israel.
Yeah. He literally says, like, make sure not to tell everyone I'm a Mossad agent.
Yeah.
And, like, while you could say they're joking in the emails, as you go through the emails, these guys are like, hey, could I get, like, an order of 14-year-old girls, please? Put them on your island. And, like, they're really not holding back at all.
So, Bennett, there's, like, 2 questions in my mind right now. So, one, I'm more likely to believe than not that there's some blackmail operation going on, but to what extent do we have, like, definitive references? Because mostly I've seen it's only been, like, some remarks in passing, and they're being, like, potential. Like, I still, I at least haven't been going through any of the files really closely, so I haven't really seen anything that's, like, a lot more strong apart from, like, some official statements.
So basically the U.S. government's official line is that there was no blackmail operation, but I think the evidence, I don't know the smoking gun proof off the top of my head, but I know the evidence is, like, overwhelming that there's some blackmail element. Otherwise, why are you always taking photos of everyone?
Yeah.
Why?
Can a man just take friends with his homies?
Yeah. But, so
is that a crime now?
I will say that, like, I feel like
Jeffrey Epstein's just scrapbooking
also,
with all the photos.
Why would he be protected by intelligence if not to collect information and blackmail and stuff?
I feel like as well, the blackmail thing was generally the operating theory for everyone when, like, there was a little bit less information, and it's still the general movement, you kind of say it points towards there being at least some element of blackmail taking. But I think as well, people didn't realize just how much all these people were so chill and friends.
Yeah.
They assumed that, like, Epstein had friends, but was probably nefariously working in, like, circles and trying to, like, force his way around. But then you end up just with people like, hey, can I party at your island? I'll give you state secrets for it.
Yeah. So
like, everyone seems pretty enthusiastic.
We'll talk about the people who do try to join the island. There's some funny ones.
There are.
But so Epstein dies in prison. His wife is still in prison.
Well, his partner, I guess.
Yeah.
His booting.
Yeah.
They weren't married at a church. Maybe it was civil law or a common law marriage.
Basically.
Common law wife.
His decades-long lover, basically, who helped him do all this stuff. Yeah. And who is basically his primary connection to Israeli intelligence, along with his original patron. What's that guy's name? Epstein. I encourage you to look into Epstein's life.
I don't think she would. I think by the last 2 decades of his life, she wasn't his primary connection because he was also very close friends with the former Israeli Prime Minister,
Ehud
Olmert.
I don't remember, but he basically, before linking up with the actual Israeli government, which he does do later, he has 2 connections that are closely linked to Israeli intelligence. I forget the first one, but it was the guy who signed over power of attorney to him that originally made him a billionaire.
Oh, the guy who was the owner of Victoria's Secret.
Yeah. That guy had a lot of Mossad connections. The other one was Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was an agent for Mossad.
The international super spy, man of mystery, Robert Maxwell.
Robert Maxwell was a triple agent spying on the Soviet Union for the UK and the UK for the Soviet Union, and both of them for Israel. He has a very interesting life. Ghislaine Maxwell has a very interesting life, basically because she's his daughter. But anyways, Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Over time, basically, partisan leanings on the Epstein situation flip-flop. Republicans think that it's all Democrat pedophiles. Democrats think that it's all Republican pedophiles. Eventually, a bipartisan bill is passed in 2025, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which requires that all the FBI's current files on the Epstein case, of which there are many, very many, as we
millions,
will need to be released in a publicly available, searchable, and downloadable format. The FBI sort of maliciously complies to this by just releasing all 3 million files at once, many of which are duplicate files. And these files are not at all formatted properly. A lot of them have been basically garbled by Microsoft, presumably unintentionally.
That's
Classic
why
Microsoft.
That's why the equals
Although
spam
it
is
is
all over
funny
the
if
place.
Microsoft did it on purpose.
Yeah, if you try to read the Epstein files, you'll see a lot of equal signs replacing characters. That is a Microsoft error.
From one of them, it signed off by saying sent from my iPhone, but the S in sent was an equal sign.
Yeah.
And I was like, how the fuck can you mess up your signature like that?
That's like an auto-generated iPhone signature, which you would not have typed. The reason why it's fucked up is because if you bulk export emails from Outlook, it will fuck up the encoding and just drop equal signs in place of some characters.
Yup, another Microsoft classic.
Also, the files are so redacted to the point of basic uselessness.
Okay, so
But also-
the funny thing is that some people have been able to get around redactions.
Right, because they're just app-reformed redaction elements, and the underlying text is still present.
you can
in the
literally
PDF.
highlight the text, copy and paste it into another document.
For some.
some of them.
I think they've solved that now. Also, they
because
had
everyone made fun of them for it when they found out they could do that.
They had initially a bulk download all the files button, and then people started using it, so they got rid of it, which made it so that you had to download each file individually now.
How many terabytes is that of the emails?
It's got to be a lot. I mean, there's 3
I
million
don't know
files.
anymore because you have to download them one at a time. It's
Using like one of those AI data farms just to download the files.
But also, like the redactions are incredibly inconsistent. You can find often 2
300
episodes,
gigabytes.
2 episodes,
300
2
gigabytes?
of the same
That's not a
file.
lot. I could store that on my fucking desktop.
Yeah.
You can find 2 of the same file, and in both of them, they are redacting the other person's conversation. So you would know who both of the people are and read everything because they redacted different stuff on the different files.
There is a lot of there's nothing in here that we don't basically already know. Like, we know that he was trafficking girls and young boys for sex with elites of both major political parties. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
There are Democrats and Republicans in here, especially Donald Trump and Bill Clinton seem to be.
But especially one political party, Labour. The UK and Starmer are in absolute shambles right now because Starmer, one with Peter Mendelsohn. Peter Mendelsohn hung out with Epstein a ton. Epstein got convicted for being a pedophile.
Yeah.
Peter Mendelsohn continued hanging out with Epstein a ton, and then Starmer kept him as one of his boys. So it was like, hey, we know you're hanging out with pedophiles, and it turns out that he was still a pedophile and also an Israeli asset. And then there's
what's the evidence? Oh, well, I think he's like he was when he was an MP, he was on Labor Friends of Israel, but like that's also like half of Labor's caucus. Like
I think he deliberately was giving away like government decisions for market stuff before things were happening, as well as there were like explicit purchases and donations, stuff like that. More so with McSweeney, who is another, McSweeney was kind of the architect of modern, like a big part of the architect of modern labor.
What's his first name, Spencer?
What is his first name?
Just introduced
Morgan McSweeney.
Morgan McSweeney.
Yeah. McSweeney's more fun to say. I just kind of forgot the other part. So McSweeney was a big part of like using the anti-Semitism claim to shut out Corbyn and a lot of left guys who were
it's also because
relatively with
McSweeney is
Palestine.
very much a member of the right-wing faction of Labor, which Mendelsohn is also a part of.
Yeah.
It's called the Labor Party.
And they very effectively
Corbyn's just a Trotskyist entryite.
shut people out. They got like 730,000 pounds of just like untraced money to do a bunch of shit. And it turns out that they're all pedophiles.
Yeah.
After you get rid of all the left-wing parts of your movement, whoa, how did I get surrounded by all of these pedophiles?
Yeah.
It really makes you think.
So wait, I didn't.
McSweeney is very clearly working with Israel. Just everywhere.
Okay, but like McSweeney's connections to Epstein, there hasn't been anything coming up like that. But I will. It's important to know that McSweeney was like a big backer of Mendelsohn. Peter Mendelsohn has had various political positions in the UK. He was an MP in the 90s and aughts, and he actually resigned twice in disgrace in like 98 and 2001, I think, from government because he held government positions. And then he was also in the cabinet of, who was that Labor MPF or Labor PM after Blair? George Brown. Yeah. He was also Gordon Brown.
Yeah.
And then recently, like last year, he was appointed as the UK ambassador to the US by Keir Starmer. And Morgan McSweeney played a big role in Mendelsohn being nominated to this position. But of course, Mendelsohn was out of that position a few months later when some Epstein file leaks showed that he had much closer connections to Epstein than he previously admitted, including communicating with him after his 2019 arrest. So the second time he was arrested, and right before he killed himself.
But what was your random search in the files like? Who did you find there out of your first 15 searches? What did you bump into?
So what I focused on was trying to see if there were Canadians in there.
Well, you went in just earlier today, and Bennett did like a random thing on all the emails, and like 3 of the first 10, if not 4, were all Mendelsohn.
Yeah, I just hit. So there's a service you can go to. It's called jmail.world that lets you browse the emails, and it has like services like give me a random page from his email, and it gives you like 50 random emails. And when I hit it, it gave me like 10 Mendelsohn emails.
Starmer continues to collapse. He knowingly appointed active pedophiles, knowing that they were doing that.
So yeah, so this was like pretty funny. I watched some like independent news segment that's kind of a little bit more centrist about it, but it said that like when Keir Starmer was questioned in like the Prime Minister's question times in the House of Commons, when they were like, did you know he was connected with Jeffrey Epstein when you were interviewing him to be ambassador? And Keir Starmer said literally like, yes.
Yeah.
and then he's like, but he lied to us about like other stuff we got about his connections with Epstein to the some extent. But it's just really funny because as soon as he's like he's just like, yeah, I have to, like, yes. And it's just like everyone in the fucking comments just makes like a because like it seems like a lot of rich people were almost successfully running with this story of like, oh yeah, he had this scandal, and this is kind of going with a lot of the legacy media in the UK. Is they're like, yeah, he had a scandal back in the day, and it was a thing, but he was also this genius accountant, tax lawyer, math guy. And as we read these emails, it's so apparent that it's not true because he is genuinely brain leaking out the ear stoop.
Like, so subhuman intelligence.
You mentioned UK news. And so there was like this opinion piece. I mean, I only saw a screenshot of the title because that's how most people consume news nowadays. Yeah. But it was an opinion piece. I can't remember the name of this journalist, but she's like basically like, oh, like we shouldn't go after Andrew Mountbatten Windsor just because of his seediness. And it's like, what? Like this is like a woman who wrote it. It's like, lady, he was like accused of raping a child.
Yeah.
So this is how is Starmer adds chilling with foreign asset pedophiles to his resume. Yeah. And he has said he's staying on.
Yeah, he's going to get wiped by the most right-wing government. Yeah. Like on paper, possibly.
And that, history, ladies and gentlemen, is true centrism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to just jump back to Peter Mandelson really quick. I think when he was in the cabinet for Gordon Brown, I think, or I can't remember when but he was at one point in his career in a prime ministerial cabinet as a business minister. And this Labour cabinet kind of makes the decision that they're going to start, like, I think, directly taxing bankers. Mendelsohn immediately tells this to Jeffrey Epstein through the emails. We have emails of him telling this. And then Epstein then tells, like, I can't remember, but he tells the specific banker who immediately threatens the UK government into revoking it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also Epstein paid Mendelsohn amounts of $25,000 multiple times to Mendelssohn's husband while Mendelsohn was in government. Mendelsohn said it was just a gift, or like to help him his husband pay like tuition for some course.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Mendelsohn situation for Starmer has just gone from bad to worst, and there seems to be a lot of discontent within the Labour Party at Starmer. But Starmer's currently saying he doesn't intend to resign, so let's see how long he lasts. Mm-hmm. Because the last prime minister to say that was Liz Truss, and she lasted like 40 days.
There seems to be no floor with Starmer.
Yeah.
Every time you think, because it was a few weeks ago, I was saying Starmer might be one of the worst world leaders in history. Because, like, I want to be too reckless with my words here. But there's literally, like, it's all bad, and also there's nothing exciting or compelling about him. It is just the most limp, pushover, decline, lose everything that you once had about your life that was promising.
He's a tall glass of skim milk.
But, like, with the whole thing that I was saying about how the UK seems to be, like, downplaying a lot of Epstein's previous stuff as a way to justify people's connections with him.
Well, it's because if you thought, like, the American media class was bad, you've not interacted with the British media class, which are even worse, except at least in the UK, they don't really respect journalists.
Yeah, journalism is a shameful career over there.
Yeah.
So,
but, okay, we now see in the kind of non-official media as well, all the right-wing grifters are so fried. They're now pro-secret Jewish pedophile blackmailing the ruling class, running the world from behind the scenes, and they're all like, actually, Epstein was an ephebophile, actually.
Yeah.
He was only into people who were a little lower than the age of consent for the most part. And, like, all of this was pretty all right.
Yeah.
Because these are the guys that have been railing for it for a long time. And Bannon of The War Room, one of Naomi Klein's obsessions for a long time, she's got to be pulling her hair out right now, even was communicating in the files by email with Epstein, saying we need to, like, find a good way to recover your reputation. And even did an interview with him where they tried to have, like, Epstein as this tortured genius.
Yeah.
And it's really funny to watch because Epstein sits there and he's like, oh, yeah, well, I would go out and I could see the future and I saw that business was going the way of numbers and math.
Yeah.
And I had a Texas Instrument calculator that you could, like, run programs on. So all these companies and, like, Fortune 500 companies would bring me onto their board so that I could see the calculations they were doing. And it's the most unconvincing, like, a high schooler grade 10 and up could see through this.
Yeah.
Like, when you know what a Texas Instrument calculator is, and you're like, wait, that's just a brick that, like, you can force doom onto if you really try.
Yeah.
It's not that good.
Texas Instrument, another famous arms manufacturer.
So, being a podcast officially about Canada and not international news, I, of course, searched the files for Canadians of both the political and business class. Now,
what's the difference?
Doug Ford comes up once, not in correspondence. The FBI submitted a briefing to Epstein that mentions Doug Ford by name. So
that's kind of funny.
So the FBI, first of all, distributing a briefing to what is a private citizen with no official connection to the U.S. government is funny on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But also, why does the FBI give a fuck about Doug Ford? I think the email itself, too, is, like, pretty, like, why do you even care about this tier?
He is kind of a corrupt plug in Canada.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
so
but
maybe he was just like, look into this.
But he's corrupt. He's allegedly corrupt in a very parochial sense.
Yeah.
Like, Doug Ford isn't any sort of, like, international man of mystery criminal. He's like, he's the kind of guy who's just in favor of, like, selling off public land to private developers, real estate schemes, that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was in relation to...
Yeah, you might call it a real blue-collar, lunch-pail dick in your ass corruption.
Here's what the FBI had to say about Ford. So this is what FBI told Ford about... Or sorry, this is what the FBI told Epstein about Doug Ford. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is under fire for failing to heed warnings that predicted such a redacted scenario, ignoring the advice of scientific advisors and providing over a clumsy inoculation drive that has failed to get doses to those most...
Yeah, this is about COVID and Doug Ford's like really bad response.
Yeah, so the FBI is saying to Epstein, Doug Ford mishandled the COVID response.
One of my favorite...
Wait a minute. Why would they be sending that to Epstein when he died in 2019?
I don't know. This might not be COVID. It could be like any number of fucking things, like school vaccinations or something. This bulletin is from 2021.
What? They're emailing the ghost of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, he died in 2019.
Well, he was playing fucking Fortnite, so...
He's playing Fortnite in Israel right now.
Right, so I'll backtrack from Canada. A lot of funny things have come up from this. One is we now know Epstein's YouTube channel. It was called Guns A-Blazing something 88 something.
This guy was a gamer.
So he uploaded Minecraft Let's Plays.
Yes, I saw
commentary Minecraft Let's Plays.
I saw his Minecraft house building tutorial, and it was very clear that like he had not practiced.
Yeah,
the house was like mediocre, but he was going like so insanely slow, and it was clear that he didn't know. Because this was like a
60-year-old man playing video games.
Yeah, but like. Why is he making Minecraft tutorial? It was a video of him trying to copy someone else's build, and he called it a tutorial, which I just thought was a little, someone's got to look into that. That's what I'm saying.
Why don't you look into that?
So he also his Fortnite account was found, and it last logged on like a week ago or something like that.
From Tel Aviv,
yeah,
of all places.
The official line is that it's someone else who like copied his account or something.
Okay. Honestly, I believe that. Whatever. Yeah. I don't think he really is still alive. But so his Fortnite account was found. He got banned off of Xbox Live for being toxic. Basically,
calling kids gay and whatnot.
Yeah.
Did they include the message that got him banned?
I don't think they actually do.
I think they did.
I think you're thinking of the meme where it's the Xbox "You're gay" guitar riff.
No, it's not that. It was something else. It was like some text.
No, it just gives the reason for banning. Yeah. So it says. Why we enforce the conduct that causes suspension may include but is not limited to threats of death, harm, property damage, or any other act of violence or vandalism, verbal abuse, profanity directed at other players, griefing, extortion or manipulation, libel, defamation or slander, display or transmission of personally identifiable information, or stalking. So they don't really say what he was banned for. They give him what he could have been banned for, but they don't specify. Okay. So anyways, I was looking up Canadian names. Mark Carney comes up a bunch of times, not in correspondence. Basically, there are no Canadians in correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein.
What about Galen Weston?
So I'll talk about Galen Weston.
Yeah, Carney's was...
Carney gets brought up because at the time he was like the head of the
Bank of England. And he was under investigation for potential connection to a Ponzi scheme. That's just because he was the Bank of England commissioner.
Yeah, it wasn't because he was connected to it. He was just in a high enough position at the time
that
where it's like
known about it.
People are going to ask him some questions because something happened.
Yeah, so he gets mentioned a couple times, but it's never in correspondence.
Yeah.
The only people who really do come up in the sense that Epstein seems to know them personally are Galen Weston and the Irving guy. What's that guy's name?
I don't know.
Steve.
Wait, he never knew Peter Nygaard?
I don't think so.
Imagine the kind of sex crimes they would have gotten to if they linked up.
I don't think I will.
Because if Epstein was going to know any Canadian, you'd think it'd be Peter Nygaard, considering that those two were like had a lot of similar MOs.
Did Nygaard own? What did he own?
He's like a fashion guy.
Yeah.
I don't know him, but that tracks then.
No, he wasn't. No, not that I could. I didn't see him. So, anyways, Irving Corporation. What's this guy's name? Corporation. Yeah.
Bird check?
Is that supposed to be a chickadee or what the fuck is it?
Kingfisher time.
Squirrel sounding motherfucker.
So
how dare you?
Sounds like a squirrel. I said it.
So it's the whatever the Irving CEO's name is comes up. Both of them are mentioned by Epstein as people he has hung out with, but they never emailed him. So we don't see any of their private correspondence.
So I guess they're not close enough. He just like met him at a party once.
It's probably he might just be name dropping them for God knows what reason.
But I mean, like, to be honest, like, he wouldn't be name dropping them to show off.
Yeah,
he's like, I've hung out with people who aren't like the feudal overlords of like some podunk Canadian province.
One thing that I do absolutely love is just Epstein's email. Fundamentally,
he's jeevacation@gmail.com.
Yeah,
he's a travel agent.
It's not his name.
Yeah,
it's like he was supposed. I think was he intended to be like a vacation package guru, and then
honestly, I think he just loved vacation.
Well, he owned an island.
Yeah, I think he liked being on vacation.
It seemed.
Who's among us doesn't? Is it illegal to have a fun time with your friends at the beach?
No. To answer your question, is it illegal to eat a succulent Chinese meal? No. So it's more disturbing that Canadian politicians are not in the files because they're just doing this shit for fun. Yeah, essentially.
Sorry. So.
Well, I mean,
it seems to me like he was initially intended to be like, oh, okay, this is a guy. His cover would be, this is a guy you get in touch with if you want like a super secretive, luxurious vacation or something like that. Like that would be the cover. Yeah. It's the Jeffrey Epstein vacation. Normal people don't get access to it. And then they just like got lazy or something and just he was out of line. The cat was out of the bag.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But, I mean, again, it's like same thing with the States. You don't really need to blackmail these people. They just do shit for the love of the game.
Yeah. So
they like being powerful and violent.
Now, there are some people who have been clowned on viciously for their, let's just say, conduct in these emails. Number one is Elon Musk, who harasses Epstein for invitations to the sex island after it is known that he has the sex island publicly.
Okay, wait. So the one email, I think we may have mentioned it briefly because it was like funny, but like the one where he's like, yo, I want to go to a party, and then Epstein forwards it to Maxwell, who then responds that they aren't having any more parties. Was that one fake? Because I heard that one specifically was fake.
Was that the Girls for the Win? Because I thought Girls for the Win was a fake one. Sorry, Girls FTW.
Well, I think there was one that was fake that made Elon Musk look like a heckin' wholesome Reddit chungus more than he already is. But like, he definitely corresponded extensively with Epstein. There is one that was much more verifiably true is one where Epstein's like, hey Elon, we got like a party coming on at New York where the opening ceremony of like the New York State Congress is happening, and there all the Congress people are going to be there. And Elon Musk is like, oh, I'm actually very busy with SpaceX and I'm doing a lot of other stuff. And he's like, Epstein says, do you think I'm a retard? Like, I'm literally saying what he said. Do you think I'm a retard? There's no girl here that's over the age of 25 and they're all beautiful.
Yeah, they're very plain in their emails. I did love, the lead up to this was Elon Musk being like, release the files. When he was going through his dramatic breakup with Trump, and he's like, Trump is in the files, I'm not. And then he was like, I was offered vacations, but I turned them away. And then it turns out he was begging for vacations, and everyone was so annoyed by him.
Well, there's
that
also
he
that
wasn't
famous
invited.
photo of him with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to find I know what email you're talking about, the alleged email where Elon Musk,
because we did talk about it last episode, I think.
Elon Musk emails Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein forwards it to Ghislaine Maxwell's like, can you deal with this? I can't email this fucking guy. I don't know if that one is real or not, but definitely they corresponded quite a lot with Elon Musk basically begging to go to the island.
But Elon Musk also being like very pally with him and going to multiple events where, as I related in that one email exchange, there's definitely young women there.
Yeah, and also Jeffrey Epstein is always emailing his associates like, oh, I just had dinner with Elon. Yeah. You're right. So they definitely did link up.
Yeah. Like, the thing with Epstein is that he did also have relationships consensual relationships and violent relationships with adult women as well as underage girls and minors. Because I think one of the last phone call he had before he was found dead was seemingly with like a woman who was like from Belarus, who was like some sort of romantic partner of his at the time.
Mm-hmm. I think the worst indictment, I don't want to say the worst indictment of a person because it's all pretty bad, but Bill Gates.
Oh yeah, the Bill Gates stuff was like really insane because we knew he was a friend. I want to steal this one because this one was on some real freak shit. I just want to start off that everyone's always just been like, oh, if you're gonna have billionaires, you want them to be like Bill Gates. Well, we got news for you. They're all like Bill Gates.
Bill Gates got an STI from Epstein vacation, probably allegedly fucking a child. Gave the STI to his wife, I believe, then tried to resolve it by effectively drugging her without her consent, is my understanding of the situation.
It was... He seemed to have caught an STI from...
a bacterial infection.
From, I think... It's unclear if this woman was trafficked or not, but it was a woman or a girl who was who was on Epstein's island. And then he corresponds with Epstein by email saying, I think I've given Melinda this STI. What do I do? And then he proceeds to ask Jeffrey Epstein if he could secretly put antibiotics in his wife's food or drink in order to cure her of the STI without even her knowing she has it in the first place. It's even
worse than that because Bill Gates is like, how do I acquire antibiotics?
Yeah.
Like, aren't you like...
That's your like whole organization.
Just ask someone to get you some antibiotics.
Also, he does medical research.
Guy, man? Come on, I'm sure they could get you some like fucking.
But also, a lot of these files kind of expose not just how stupid Jeffrey Epstein is, but how stupid every rich person is.
Yeah,
they are all complete fucking morons.
Yeah. They type like. They write sentences that are probably around like 5th grade writing.
Hey, like everyone does that when they're texting their friends, man.
I guess so.
But it's beyond the typos, which is I kind of just chalk them up to be they're all fucking old people,
and they're also a lot of them were also at the time BlackBerry, like typing on your BlackBerry.
That was so funny. What was this signature? It was like
sent from like Verizon BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Shrey, I hate to break it to you, the BlackBerries in the files, the BlackBerries in the Epstein files.
I think the typing, I just chalk up to them being old people, right?
Yeah.
Old people just type badly. But the actual, like, things they're coming to Epstein for advice on and, like, the things they talk to him about are so...
midway.
At best, 100 IQ garbage, right?
Yeah.
It's like, these are people who we're supposed to believe have some sort of innate ability above everyone else to justify their insane position.
They're supposed to be, like, Randian gods amongst men.
And they are all... I wouldn't even say they're all, like, stupid. They're just not smarter than any random person plucked off the street.
Yeah.
Like, some of them are, like, well-accomplished and smart in their own fields because he had deep connections to academia. But then also, like...
But not his professorial connections. The actual billionaires he's talking to are so...
But
average.
Even the professorial ones, like, he was talking... I can't remember this guy's name, but it's, like, this MIT prof who was... I can't remember what department he was in, but him and Epstein would talk a lot about eugenics and how like
I wanted to talk about
disabled people should be like killed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if either of you looked deep into his eugenics streak, but
he did have some. He was also obsessed with the idea of like him being like superior,
right?
And spread it and like having as many children as possible.
Epstein was obsessed with basically cloning himself by having as many children as possible. He wanted to have basically unlimited number of children, and it's possible that he fathered hundreds or even thousands. Some of the women he trafficked, he basically kept as his personal, like, eugenics breeding slaves. Yeah. One of the things that was released in this
but his obsession with eugenics and also like procreation was something that we kind of knew around the time of his arrest.
This was a known secret, but what was released in these files were actually accounts from the victims of his breeding program, including a very heartbreaking diary that one of them was allowed to keep about her experience as his breeding slave, which I won't go over the details of it, but if you're interested, it's in the files, and it's very easy to find. But we know that he had these breeding slaves. He's obsessed with his own genetic superiority, and also he was obsessed with the supposed genetic superiority of Ashkenazi Jews. So he was like really, really like obsessed with the idea that like, okay, one thing, it wasn't him, it was Ghislaine Maxwell, who one of the victims told her that they should be thankful that Epstein is using them as breeding slaves because they will have Jewish babies. Which is like, come on, what are we doing here? Like, you can't, this is like a level of like, this is like Protocols of the Elders of Zion tier stuff we're doing here.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, I know Israel foments anti-Semitism on purpose, but this is crazy.
Well, this is the thing. This wasn't ever supposed to be public. It was just like some like insane billionaire's private views.
Yeah. So he was obsessed with his own genetic superiority, but also, of course, he was extremely racist. It is known that he hates black people. He was obsessed with his own. This is a common racist archetype, but not obsessed with the white race in general, but with his specific ethnicity within it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's like an old school racist who thought like Irish people were apes.
Sort of, but instead of being like those old school racists were usually like Anglo specific.
Well, Anglo-specific or whatever ethnicity you happen to be.
Yeah.
It's the constantly shrinking bubble. You can, like we always say with like, oh, you know, fascism, white supremacy.
Race
eventually the in-group
like
has to be broken down because you need to maintain the out-group. He's a little ahead of the curve on that, I suppose. While, he's already been breaking down into the smaller subgroup for the white supremacy stuff. He was not ready for white Afrikaner Latinos gutting down white people in the streets of America, which is the other result of white supremacy we've stumbled in on. But look, that's another day.
He was also...
Epstein's got those old school opinions on race like Ben Franklin, who thought Germans were swarthy.
These emails have also exposed Epstein's general obsession with like chaos.
Yeah.
Right? So these emails, a lot of it is his philosophical discussions with some billionaires where he's basically saying like, we got to foment as much chaos as possible because the more attention is on anything but the upper class, basically, the more we can get away with, because no one will pay attention to us if we're like constantly cycling the world through Naomi Klein shock doctrines all the time.
Yeah, and they literally like explicitly
he also talked about
say,
kind of sponsoring and fomenting like anti-globalization, right-wing grievances in order to cause kind of breakups in the current liberal international order.
Yeah,
there's a lot of correspondence he had around Brexit, and he was like, oh, this is going to be like a great opportunity,
right?
Like a great business opportunity.
He literally says like countries going through like horrible disasters are great business opportunities, and that like they love it. They love it. They love to bomb countries because it's good for them.
It is kind of like unique. Like, is there any idea of like around what time Jeffrey started like his trafficking?
It was the early 2000s, like around 2000.
Okay, so like this is still very much in the aftermath of the breakup of the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
so like the immediate aftermath, it's a lot the post-Soviet states.
A lot of his
like,
early victims were
Eastern Europeans.
Russian prostitutes, basically, that he imported from the Eastern Bloc.
Yeah.
Like the breakup of the Soviet Union, it is kind of famous for creating this whole idea of like mail order Ukrainian or Russian brides of like just like insane amounts of women sex trafficked into the West under like pretenses of like secretarial jobs or modeling jobs or like any sort of stable job that would get them out of like the smoking wreck of their countries in the wake of the Soviet Union's dissolution.
Yeah, I guess politically and specifically economically, it very much enabled all of this.
And it just kind of shows like it's kind of almost like weirdly literary about how like the sexual and the economic exploitation mirror each other here. It almost comes across as like metaphor for one and the other, despite the fact that these are happening concurrently by the same people.
Yeah, I mean, if the USSR didn't collapse, honestly, there wouldn't be an Epstein Island.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're in this situation.
There'd be a lot of things that wouldn't have happened if the USSR didn't collapse.
Yeah, basically, we're in this situation. We live in a global nightmare hell run by open pedophiles who are torturing children to death every day because the Soviet Union lost the Cold War.
And you can see this.
And the Soviet Union lost the Cold War because the German Revolution failed. And why'd that fail? Social Democrats.
Yeah. It all goes back to the Social Democrats.
Why do we even laugh, though? Why do we laugh? It's only true.
It's not crazy to say that.
But yeah, it
all goes back to August Bebel.
You can very specifically see it, and I don't want to say it's like dumb or annoying, but like when it comes to European leaders, they haven't figured out what American leaders have figured out, which is that what has this done to American leaders? Nothing. They did not react. They do not care. They do not care that like the president is in the files all over the place, left and right, being an active pedophile. It doesn't matter, and it's not going to affect him. And a few European leaders are like, I will step down. I need to leave this post. You could just not do that. And we know that now. I'm not saying they should not do that, but like we're getting more and more. America will do it first because they're like main power. But as time goes on and as more fascist governments kind of take hold, I imagine we're just going to see this make less and less of a ripple at all anywhere. Other names that I don't want to dwell on, but Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
Fucked, chucked. It's over.
Noam Chomsky.
Well, Noam Chomsky, we've kind of talked about before Chomsky's connections to Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, like, Jeffrey Epstein does crash out about China quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, because he's like a billionaire, and like the fact that like the Chinese Communist Party can like run a capitalist state better than bourgeois republics, like makes a lot of people crash the fuck out.
Yeah. It's some crazy stuff, but the truth is, anyone who worked towards the Soviet Union losing the Cold War, this is their fault.
I guess
all of this could have been prevented.
Chomsky, I don't want to make this joke anymore. Scratch that. Anarchist, not a Marxist-Leninist. Just want to confirm there are no Marxist-Leninists in the files, notably, and they all hate all the Marxist-Leninists. All pedophiles hate Marxist-Leninists.
You know who isn't in the files? Parenti.
Exactly. My goat. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Noam Chomsky. It is almost tragic. If he died at like 85, long life,
that would have been.
He would have dodged all of this.
That would have been like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
He would not have had his times with Epstein, and he would not have had his emails released in the Epstein files if he died at the ripe young age of 85. Unfortunately, evil never dies, and he is a pedophile. So he lived long enough to get involved with all of this, and then so disastrously long that he managed to see his name and reputation destroyed, finally.
Yeah. What else can we say about the Epstein files, to be honest?
I got you.
Yeah.
On the topic of
cannibalism. I wanted to do the cannibalism.
Oh, the jerky. Okay, let me get this out of the way because I just got 2 points.
Some of the more crazy and spurious.
Yeah. We're just gonna go fully off the deep end here.
Yeah, we're running in garbage time, so we just got to speed run some stuff. No Marxist-Leninists found, but you will notice in the capitalist industry you have people like Diddy, you have people like Weinstein, you have people like Epstein everywhere. I wonder what it is about this system that makes sexual predators and pedophiles consistently rise up to the top. All these people that hate communists. Could there be anything to this, chat? Mossad versus Russia, we already talked about this. And then the Jerky Files.
All right, so we're gonna end our Epstein coverage on the Jerky Files. We don't do anything else. Okay, so the Jerky Files. Was Epstein eating people? Snopes says yes.
Which is insanity. Insanity.
So if you're not aware, Snopes is like a fact-checking website. They mostly just do normie, like centrist, like debunk stuff. Where they're like, they usually err on the side of caution. Where they're like, is XYZ a politician engaged in ABC corruption scandal? They'll just be like, probably not, or they'll say
Yeah, famously, was this? I think it was Snopes that did. Bernie Sanders during a debate accused Biden of saying he wants to like expand prisons and stuff like that, and they said no, this is not true because I think it was later during the debate Biden said it wasn't true.
Right, that's the kind of shit they do. Normally they are extremely on the side of caution, but for some reason they published an article. Was Jeffrey Epstein really involved in cannibalism? And then they gave it true. So there's basically 3 sources for Epstein cannibalism.
Real patriots fact check this true.
So one thing is, a lot of claims you see online about Epstein are in the files, the more extreme ones. But they come from basically the mandatory reporting system, where if you submit any tip to the FBI has to log it and then assess it. And usually they'll just say, do not investigate further because it's a waste of our time.
Yeah.
Right? One of the files includes an anonymous tip from a guy who claims he was on an Epstein's yacht and he saw Epstein disembowel infants and eat their feces. That was proof number 1. Right? So
that proof was like, come on.
This is Hillary Clinton ate my ass to you.
The FBI's...
This is like the Hillary Clinton doing such messed up stuff to babies that all the cops who watched that video went insane.
The FBI's assessment of this report was, this is a waste of our time. Right? So that was evidence number 1. It's the least convincing evidence of the bunch.
Yeah.
Evidence number 2. The beef jerky files is, if you look at jerky in the files, Epstein has over 200 emails corresponding about beef jerky, how to make it, moving it in bulk, keeping it in freezers and in his basement, claiming he only eats beef jerky.
They also specifically say they don't know what meat goes into it, but also say beef jerky elsewhere, my understanding is.
Basically they're like, how do we make this? He has people who seem to be dedicated to prowling his island to make beef jerky. Like, one of the emails advises his security staff to release the people responsible for making jerky at night.
My initial assumption was that jerky was just like a specific code word they were using for a certain sexual thing.
Yeah.
But then as you get more into the jerky files, it doesn't seem to be true. Because they spend way too much time focused on like jerky specifics, or, oh, do you want me to bring jerky on the plane to your island, or will you be providing your own? Like,
but also,
jerky?
Epstein
specifically refers to
a truck driver.
Epstein also specifically refers to eating the jerky, and he claims at times that it's sometimes the only thing he eats for weeks on end.
Yeah.
Anyways, it could be talking about just regular beef jerky. You might just be like obsessed with just normal beef jerky and have staff on the island who just make it all the time. That is definitely a possibility.
He could just be like autistic and have like, I gotta eat beef jerky.
Exactly. It could be like his safe food.
You know, that's why.
It's always the same taste and texture. No variation.
So the beef jerky files.
Have we ever considered that,
just like me with
that Jeffrey Epstein,
when I was a kid?
Have we ever considered that Jeffrey Epstein was just neuroatypical?
Yeah.
And all the people coming after him must be incredibly overstimulating.
Well, I kind of like made somewhat of a joke to someone sometime because like I didn't really like fruit when I was a kid, but I really liked steamed broccoli. And I'm like, okay, it was probably something I undiagnosed because it's the same taste and texture every time compared to fruits.
Yeah.
Which, if you have fresh fruits, it can be hit or miss.
Yeah. So
and it's all hit.
The jerky files are evidence, are the second strongest evidence that he was eating people.
Yeah.
I will say they are definitely not conclusive and largely circumstantial, and you can easily interpret them as a man just truly obsessed with beef jerky. The most convincing evidence that he ate people comes from Gabriela Rico Jimenez, who was a Mexican model who was at an Epstein party towards the end of his life. Basically, there was a party at a hotel that he was hosting with some well-connected people, and during the party, a woman, one of the traffic, or not really a traffic woman, she had her own life outside of this, but a woman that was brought in, 21-year-old Gabriela Rico Jimenez, a Mexican model, runs out of the party into the hotel lobby screaming, "They're eating people! They're eating people!" She gets arrested and is never seen again. Mexican police don't say what happened to her, where she went, anything like that. So we have this woman who claimed immediately to witness them eating humans, who then was never seen again.
Yeah.
That is the strongest evidence that he was eating people.
Also, yeah. Well, one, that is insanely scary and pretty... Like, I can't say it's damning in the sense that, like, oh, it's a smoking gun.
Yeah,
but
it's not a photo of him eating a person.
Yeah, but it's pretty damning in general.
Yeah.
But also, like, as we were just going through the Jerky Files before this, at first I was like, okay, it's probably just a sex thing. And then I was like, whoa, this is kind of funny. And then I had a moment where I was like, holy shit, I think they are eating people. I don't know how to describe it. My brain just, like, had managed to close off every other option as seemingly unreasonable.
Yeah. I honestly, in my opinion, it is feasible that this man was just shipping literal tons of beef jerky to his island.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a rich weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, they do that shit all the time.
So I would say the Jerky Files, I would put them maybe middling evidence that he was a cannibal. You could easily interpret them as him eating humans. Like, I don't think it's unreasonable to say.
Yeah, I'm unironically putting it in as, like, maybe barely above 50-50.
Yeah. But
which is, like, is it amazing? Like, is it definitely a thing? Far from. But it is infinitely higher than it should be. I don't think if you're talking about risk of eating people, I don't want to see anyone above like 5%.
Yeah. The strongest evidence, of course, is Gabriela Rico Jimenez, who he basically had killed for accusing him of eating people at a party she was at moments before. Mm-hmm. That is the strongest evidence. But that is the Epstein cannibal connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to do a quick pause to charge my laptop, stuff like that.
Okay. We can also, I guess...
We'll wrap something up and do a second small recording in 10 seconds.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening, y'all.
We'll be back in a second.
Yeah.
Bye.